Hello, this is Rico The Stratwrassler coming back to you with some more slide guitar information. Hopefully some good instruction for somebody looking into playing some slide guitar. In my first video, I covered some of the inspiration that I received from a local guy named Joe Richardson, who inspired me to try playing some slide guitar. I want to get into a little music theory with this, because that's what I really like teaching people, is music theory and how to apply it to the fretboard. So, little D chord there to start off with. Oh, a little D lick. Okay, so I'm directing these videos at people that have a little experience playing guitar and understand some basic concepts like the cage system. Some people call it that, where you learn your basic open chords like C, A, G, which I will have to play incomplete here, because I've got this guitar tuned to drop D tuning, and if I add this note it's going to be an F instead of a G, and it'll sound kind of funny. Actually be a G7 chord with the 7th in the bass. There's a little theory for you. And then the E chord, which with drop D I'd have to add this note. And the D chord. And then all the derivatives of that, like a D minor, or an A minor, or an E minor. So these shapes, E, I call them shapes because you can visualize them as shapes on the fretboard when you finger them. C, A, some people like to play A with 3 fingers, I don't do that anymore. G, E, and D make up some of the basic triads, major triad chords, and then minors from then on. So if you don't have a basic understanding of that, and maybe what a major scale is and a minor scale, and why minor is minor and why major is major, there are a lot of good tutorials here on YouTube. I don't think I'm going to make one of those, but I will talk a little bit about that. So if I say the A shape, that's what I mean, and the way that you can move that A shape up to the 7th fret, and now it's a D chord. Move down here, it's a C chord. Back to an A. And if you play these open, it's a G chord. Drop D tuning inherently has 2 open chord, major chord triads. Well, maybe not a triad. In the case of the D, it's just the 5th chord, which is a common way of saying it's got the root and a 5th, and probably another root chord in there. So in this case, it's D, A, and D. And you play those 3 together, you have a D5 chord, which can be used over a major or minor chord. If I added in the minor note, which would be a F note, like from here, that'd be an F minor chord. In this case it has the root, the D, the 5th, the A, and then the minor 3rd. Move that 3rd up a half step, which most cases is equal to a 1 fret jump if you're on the same string. I should say in all cases if you're on the same string. So from here to here, it's a half step going from minor to major. So here's your D major chord with your drop D tuning. And for a review of drop D tuning, you just drop your E string that you normally tune to an E note and drop it down to a D. So it's an octave below your D string. The other open major chord that you have with drop D tuning is a G chord. In this case, it does have the 3rd. It's got a D, the 5th, It's got a G, the root, and then a B, the third. And why that's important for slide is that those notes all line up together. And if you can just play those notes and mute, and that's kind of a technique lesson that I'll get into sometime, you can go from a D chord and slide it up to a G chord. Try to make that sound a little better. Down to an F. Now what I did on that last chord, which is a D chord, so I'd hit this bass lick. I'm playing that A shape from here, up here at the 7th fret, so it's the 7th fret on your D string, G string, and B string, and I'm barring across those and doing a little muting both with my right hand and my left. Because if you don't do any muting at all, you can get extraneous notes and buzzing and fizzing like... Well, yeah, you hear that little note at the top. Yeah, if you don't want that, you have to kind of mute your E string. And you can do that. I muted it with my pinky up here, and you can kind of mute it by laying on it with one of these fingers. This is totally by feel. Slide guitar is a lot of feel. Well, that's great, but what if I'm playing over a minor chord that needs to sound minor? Well, here's a very recognizable lick that you're going to hear a lot of bluesy country slide players play. Instead of sliding all the way up to this D, I'm going to slide on my B string up to a fret below on the 6th fret and play that note first. That's going from the minor third because that's from your A minor shape. So down here you got your A, and then you got your A minor. If you move that all the way up to your 7th fret here with your first finger on the 6th fret of your B string, you've got a minor chord. So, this lick. You've probably heard that before somewhere. Now the cool thing about that note is it's a bluesy note. So even if you're playing blues that do not have minor chords in them, you can use that lick over it. We use that minor third all over the place. It's just sort of the context and how you resolve it and what other notes you're playing with it that determines just how good it sounds. So I can either go to a major D chord, very major sounding, or and the convenient thing about slide is if you're sliding up and down these 3 strings, you can find all kinds of chords. You can find an E chord, you can find a G chord, and that minor lick with the D chord or the G chord. And you can hear me not muting quite enough in there a little bit. Some of those weird higher string noises, which I have discovered aren't as noticeable sometimes as you think they are. When I've done recordings and I thought, oh, I need to go back and redo that or clean that up, turned out they weren't that noticeable, or they added sort of a little vibe and flavor to it that actually sounded good. So there's your lesson about major and minor chords, doing slide with those inherently open chords, like your G chord and your D chord. Now I'm going to play a variation on a very popular jazz tune from the 60s and see if somebody who actually listens to this and leave a comment if you can figure out what it is. Went to a C there. I'm hiding the tune in there pretty well, but it's something I've been playing around with. I'm going to see if I can work up a slide version of it. So that's your slide guitar drop D tuning on an acoustic lesson for today, with a little bit of theory put in there. If you learned something or you have any questions that I could answer in the comments, feel free to leave them. You're just going to criticize my look or my lighting or my talking or something like that, please don't bother. I really don't care. Have a good day, and play some music on your guitar.